Excuse me, will my PS2 play Xbox games? Excuse me, I need to know if Halo will play on my PS2?
I'm sorry, I don't speak stupid, and our translator called out sick today.
Wait, what are you—
Surely they must have video game stores in the great land of Stupidia, where you'd be able to purchase and be ignorant of all manner of games in accordance with your society's customs.
My life is like a video game, trying hard to beat the stage, all while I am still collecting coins. I can't believe that's a real song that actually exists. Seriously, what the f***, man. Hello, and welcome back to the Search for the Worst Cartoon, a series where I try to find the worst cartoon ever made, because trust me, it's not Teen Titans Go. I'm sure most of you watching this are familiar with Ctrl+Alt+Delete in some way, shape, or form. For those that are unfamiliar, Ctrl+Alt+Delete is a webcomic that has been going on since 2002. It is a gaming-based webcomic, and being that this is from the 2000s, that means there's a lot of very cringy humor. But perhaps most people know Ctrl+Alt+Delete as the comic that gave us the Lost meme. It's a very long story and it's not really important to this video, so I'm not gonna go into the history behind the Lost comic, but yeah, for sure most of y'all have seen this comic before at one point. I've never actually read Ctrl+Alt+Delete. I didn't read it like as a kid on the internet. I knew nothing about it. The only thing that I know about it for the most part is the Lost comic, and that's it. Now, despite the infamous nature of this webcomic, there's one thing about it that isn't all that well known, and that's the cartoon. Yes, indeed, Ctrl+Alt+Delete, the comic that gave us the Lost meme, had a cartoon. You know what, I don't know why I'm surprised about this, you know? Sam and Cat had a cartoon. Fred had a cartoon. Better Call Saul had a cartoon. This shouldn't surprise me anymore, honestly. The Ctrl+Alt+Delete cartoon ran for 2 seasons from 2006 to 2008 for a total of 24 episodes. The episodes of this show are extremely short, which is always an automatic positive on the Search for the Worst Cartoon, as it makes things much quicker for me to sit through. And I'm happy to say that after the absolute nothingness that was Slippin' Jimmy, this show actually has stuff for me to talk about. There's actually material in this show that I could work with. So here's the main question. What kind of bad cartoon is Ctrl+Alt+Delete the animated series? Is it a so bad it's good cartoon, or is it just an awful, painful thing to sit through? And how does it compare to the other 4 cartoons I've looked at in this series? Well, let's find out. The first thing that I will say about this show is that the animation is unsurprisingly really bad. I don't want to be like super harsh about the animation because this is a web cartoon from 2006, and I imagine web animation was still like in its primitive stage during the making of this, but still I cannot deny that this does not look good at all. The show also shares the art style that the comics had at the time, which, yeah, it's not a good looking art style, but I won't lie when I say that there's kind of a charm to it. There's just something so mid to late 2000s about it that makes me like not really hate it for some reason. I don't know how to describe it. The best way that I could describe the animation for this show is it looks like a bootleg Brain Pop animation. You guys remember Brain Pop with the robot? Yeah, I don't know, it just kind of reminds me of that. The weirdest thing though is, for some reason, the animation in the theme song is better than in the actual show itself, and I have no idea why this is the case, but like you look at the theme song's animation and then you compare it to the actual show itself and it's like why is that the case? Why does the animation look better in the theme song than it does in the actual show? It doesn't make any sense at all. I genuinely cannot think of a valid reason as to why this would be the case. If the show had this animation quality, it would probably still be garbage, but at least it would be slightly better visually. If you can believe it though, the animation gets even worse in Season 2. I presume something went down during the production of Season 2 that caused it to be different from Season 1, because not only is the animation different and worse looking in Season 2 compared to in Season 1, but also the voice acting is different. Have a listen.
Nobody glues my circle strafe hand to a doorknob and gets away with it.
Plus, if we eat here, I can get a pina colada Oreo mocha Red Bull Supreme orange smoothies.
Yeah,
And I find it amusing that you have such a hard time believing it.
Why did you decide to go to the gym in the first place? You hate exercise.
I have no idea what happened to the voice actors for the first season. Maybe they realized how garbage this show was and they called it quits. Maybe they were finally freed and replaced by other innocent people that were enslaved into being part of this garbage. I have no idea, honestly. With that said, allow me to try and describe the plot of this show. The main characters of this show are Ethan, his girlfriend Lila, and his roommate Lucas. Ethan has a very unhealthy addiction to video games, and that is basically his entire character. There is nothing more to him except that he has an unhealthy addiction to video games. That's pretty much the only joke surrounding him. Just to give you an example, there's a 2-part episode where a storm knocks out the power at their house, and Ethan is required to do something else other than play video games. It's exactly as funny as you think it is.
Okay, now here are the rules.
Wait, where is the options menu? I want to adjust my controls.
Ethan, this is a board game. There is no options menu.
Screw that then. I'm not going to play if I'm stuck with the default controls.
If I were to be completely honest with y'all, this is the weirdest f***ing cartoon I have looked at on this series, easily. You know how earlier I asked what kind of bad cartoon this was? Was it a so bad it's good cartoon, or was it a painful, cringy cartoon? Yeah, guess what? It's both. It's the best of both worlds is what you get. There are some moments in this show that are absolutely hilarious in how bad they are, and then there are moments that are just really hard to sit through because of how unfunny it is. And I honestly don't know which one this show has more of. I don't know if there are more so bad it's good moments in this show, or if there are more painful, cringy moments in this show. It's like a perfect 50-50 of the two. This show suffers from having random equals funny humor. There are jokes that just, they happen for no reason. It's just because, oh, it's random, so that means it's funny. Ha ha ha. To give you an example, there's an episode where Lila tries to teach Ethan how to cook because Ethan has a massive fear of cooking, all because the Swedish chef from the Muppets just barged in to the Ethan's kitchen at one point, and I have no idea what the hell is going on. There's like Christmas music playing in the background. I don't understand it. It's not funny. It's not even like ironically funny. It's just like, what is this, bro? What is this?
I cooked in the kitchen once.
Oh yeah, in that same episode, there's a joke, I think, that like they set up and then like they never pay it off. Like there's no payoff for it at all. Just watch this clip, okay? I swear to y'all, I did not edit this at all. I didn't cut anything out. This is exactly how the episode goes.
Nice to meet you too. And that's my fiancé, Ethan. I'd better go check on him. Lucas, would you mind entertaining Karen for a moment? What was that noise?
What noise? I didn't hear any noise. It was a TV.
Okay. Take the chicken out of the oven. I'm gonna go set the table. Congratulations, sweetie. You've just cooked your first meal.
I am genuinely so confused right now. I have no idea. They were setting up a joke and then they decided midway to just scrap it, but not remove what they made of the joke. Like, what was that? What was the deal with that? Was this cartoon made by human beings? Is this an AI generated cartoon from 2006, you know? That's pretty freaking ahead of its time, I'm not even gonna lie. These people were making AI generated cartoons all the way back in 2006. You gotta hand it to them. I know the whole AI art isn't real art thing, but like, you gotta hand it to them. It's impressive. They made an AI generated cartoon all the way back in 2006. You gotta hand it to them. That's real impressive. But I think now it's time to talk about what is easily the highlight of Ctrl+Alt+Delete, the animated series. The trilogy. These 3 episodes act as the final episodes of Season 1, and they are all intended to be parodies of the Star Wars original trilogy. Now, for some context, in the mid-2000s, there was a guy named Jack Thompson who, I have no idea who this guy is, but apparently he's the reason why the whole video games cause violence nonsense exists, or at the very least he played a big part in that. He played a big part in making that a thing. I have no idea. I have never heard of this guy before in my life, but yeah, these are 3 episodes that parody him. The first episode begins with 2 guys getting chased by Jack and his agents. In an act of desperation, one of them puts a DVD into a Splinter Cell case and throws it out of the car, where it conveniently lands on Ethan's doorstep. The next morning, Ethan wakes up and finds the game. He reads a note directed to Benjamin Kotarski, his next-door neighbor. I just want to briefly acknowledge this abrupt transition. Once again, I did not edit this.
Wait a minute. Benjamin Kotarski. I wonder if it means old Ben K from next door.
Anyways, Ethan talks to Ben and finds out that he was at one point a gamer. Not only that, but he was also a master of this show's equivalent to the Force. You want to know what the Force is called in this show? It's called the Ownage. I really wish I was kidding about this, but I'm not.
And a master of the ownage.
The ownage?
The ownage is a life force that flows through all games and gamers. It creates polygons and cheat codes and binds us all together.
Jesus, this is what people considered funny in 2006? I mean, to be fair, it's not like what we consider funny these days is any better. Right now, the biggest meme on the internet is a series of short videos where Half-Life characters pop their heads out of toilets and sing some random nonsense song. This is humor in 2023. You know, now that I think about it, maybe this ownage thing, it's not that bad, honestly. Anyways, they pop in the DVD and find out about Jack Thompson's evil plan to quote-unquote end video games. The evil plan in question: putting up a billboard saying video games are bad, which I guess changes people's minds about video games. Damn, this truly is a dystopian nightmare. We really do live in a society. Literally 1984. We then cut to Ethan, Lucas, and Ben, who are driving to pick up Lila. They pick up Lila as Ben confronts Jack. Ben then dies. It's clearly obvious that he's sleeping, and you'd think they'd do an unfunny and predictable joke where Ethan and the others think that he died, but it turns out he's actually sleeping. But no, they treat it like he actually died, and in all of his subsequent appearances in these episodes, he appears as a ghost. So why did they animate it like he was sleeping? Is this another scrapped joke that wasn't fully removed from the episode? What the actual f*** is this cartoon? Seriously. I also want to bring up how atrocious the pacing of this show is. Sometimes things just happen extremely fast, not giving the viewers any time to breathe and process what's happening.
Ben! No!
They kept farting in the car anyway. Let's go!
I'm sorry about Ben, hon.
Who?
I think I've got it. The weak point is here.
The episode continues on with this Xbox robot thing locating the weak spot of the billboard. As Ethan drives to it, we get what is possibly the greatest out-of-context moment in any cartoon ever, and a perfect example of how sometimes this show could actually be funny and how really bad it is. Anyways, let's move on to the second episode of the trilogy. Episode 2 begins with the ghost of Ben visiting Ethan, telling him that he will visit Bobo, the gamer master that trained Ben. Bobo is essentially the show's equivalent to Yoda. Meanwhile, Lucas and Lila are stuck in traffic, as Lila notices that Jack is behind them, in which all of a sudden they aren't stuck in traffic anymore. Don't question it, it'll only make your headache worse, trust me. We then cut to Bobo teaching Ethan the ownage, which then cuts to Lucas and Lila meeting up with an old friend of Lucas named Larry. As it turns out though, Jack got to Larry first. Ethan receives a text message about this and heads over to rescue them. It is then that Ethan finally confronts Jack.
Benjamin Katarski never told you what really happened to your father.
Why would we ever have talked about my father? That's just creepy!
Your father once vacationed in New Jersey.
No!
I don't think I've ever had a bigger love-hate relationship towards a cartoon before in my life. Immediately after this cringy, random equals funny New Jersey joke, Ethan jumps out of a window and has this absolutely bored look on his face immediately after the predictable I am your father shock plot twist parody. It gets even better when you slow down the footage and you get to truly appreciate how garbage this looks. This is yet another instance where the show is so bad it's good. Anyways, Ethan runs into the car and finds out that Lucas has been kidnapped. The episode ends with Ethan and the others driving off to rescue Lucas. The final episode of the trilogy begins with the billboard being rebuilt as Ethan and the others head to a redneck courtroom in Florida. Okay, so apparently Jack Thompson lives in Florida, which is why this courtroom is in Florida. I know that this was made long before the Florida man memes and whatever, but when I think of Florida stereotypes, I don't really think of hillbilly rednecks. Whatever, maybe things were different back in 2006. Ethan walks in and confronts the judge, who is an obvious parody of Jabba the Hutt. He pulls out a Wiimote and moves the judge up and down, which again looks absolutely amazing when you slow it down. We then cut to Jack meeting up with Hillary Clinton, who I guess was also attached to the video games cause violence stuff. I don't know, okay? I didn't know who she was until the 2016 elections, and I completely forgot about her existence when she lost the 2016 elections. I'm not a political person, okay? I'm sorry. Sue me. After that, Ethan and the others are planning out to destroy this new billboard. I want to mainly focus on this one character because this is the only episode of the entire show that he appears in, and he has less than a minute of overall screen time. I bring this up because this guy appears in the theme song, and the theme song uses the exact same footage for every single episode. Why bother putting this guy into the theme song if this is the only time he ever actually appears in the show? What's the point? Maybe this guy has a more prominent appearance in the comics, I don't know, and assuming someone comes across this show not knowing that it's based on a comic, they're going to be really confused about who this character is and why he only appears for a few seconds in one episode despite being featured in the theme song. God, my brain hurts so damn much right now, like you got no idea. Anyways, Ethan sends the others out to destroy the billboard as he walks up to Jack, who then leads Ethan to Hillary.
Welcome, young Ethan. I have been expecting you. I look forward to completing your training. In time, you will call me President.
Damn, I can't believe Ctrl+Alt+Delete the animated series predicted Hillary Clinton would run for president exactly 10 years before it happened as well. You know, people make a big deal about The Simpsons predicting Trump becoming president, but I don't see anyone acknowledge Ctrl+Alt+Delete predicting this. This is so crazy, guys. What the heck? I'm so tired right now, for real. Anyways, Hillary betrays Jack by giving Ethan a Wiimote that would allow him to defeat Jack once and for all, while Lila and Lucas use the Xbox robot thing to break the telephone pole, which would also knock down the billboard. Jack sneaks up behind Hillary and hits her with a briefcase, before falling weakly onto Ethan. The telephone pole falls onto Jack and Hillary, and the gang celebrates them saving gaming. And there you have it. The greatest Star Wars parody of all time. A parody that would make George Lucas himself shed a tear. Now, this would be the part where I would make an unoriginal and predictable, oh, still better than the sequel trilogy joke, but considering the fact that I don't care about Star Wars, and that I am honestly turned off by it due to the shockingly high amount of people who can't handle the simple idea of Star Wars having a bad movie, I will not make such a joke. Thank you very much. Fun fact, this was originally supposed to be the second episode of the Search for the Worst cartoon. At the end of the Alan Gregory episode, I teased that the next episode would be on Ctrl+Alt+Delete the animated series. However, there was no follow-up episode made to the Alan Gregory episode. I just left it as a one-time thing. I was busy dealing with other stuff at the time, and eventually I just lost interest in this whole thing, and I just stopped caring about it. It wouldn't be until a few years later that I suddenly regained interest in the search for the worst cartoon, thanks to a certain cartoon that came out earlier this year that will be covered very soon on this show. I had the Sam and Cat and It's Fred videos planned for a while at the time, however it was decided as a last minute thing to make them search for the worst cartoon episodes. They were originally just going to be regular, normal episodes, not attached to the search for the worst cartoon at all. It feels very surreal to think that this video has finally seen the light of day, and honestly I'm kind of glad that it did, because goddamn, this right here, it's definitely a cartoon. Ctrl+Alt+Delete, the animated series, more than anything else, embarrasses me. I know I said earlier that this show was sometimes really painful and cringy, and other times it was so bad it's good, but after closely watching these episodes and thinking about it more, there aren't really that many so bad it's good moments. There are some instances where this show can be funny in its badness, but for the most part, this show is honestly just really embarrassing to sit through. I wouldn't consider this the worst cartoon I've seen yet, though. I still think Sam and Cat is worse just because there were just so many things in that show that reminded me of Mr. Schneider. And again, at least this show has a couple so bad it's good moments. Unfortunately, they're not enough for me to say that this is a hilarious bad show that you should watch. It's not that at all. The novelty factor that should be there isn't there. It's just cringe to watch. I'm sorry. This is one of the worst cartoons I've looked at. This show embarrasses me. It's just embarrassing more than anything else. This is a terrible show, and I wouldn't recommend it at all. It's not so bad it's good. There are some instances where it is, but for the most part it's just really hard to sit through it, and I really wouldn't recommend it. It's not worth it going through this garbage. The only positives that I could say about it is that it's extremely short, and also there are some so bad it's good moments in it, but that's about it. It's not worth sitting through this show. I do not recommend it. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more search for the worst cartoons get made in the future, then be sure to like, and if you're new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing, as it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Adios.